In this video I'm going to show you how to build out a MERN application with stock API information, so stock information. So what's going to happen is it's going to be a charting, I'm going to use a charting library with React. We'll reference a stock API to get some financial data, some basic financial data, and things like that, and we'll just build this all in a MERN application. I'm doing this video because it's been requested. People have also put requests in for creating MERN applications, and also I just figured the charting library is a pretty decent one. A lot of websites use charting libraries, and so it's a good way to show some React stuff as well. So what you'll need in this video is you'll need a text editor like Atom. That's the one I'm going to use. You'll need Postman, which is a REST API client, and I recommend downloading Mongo Compass. And that's it, I think. If you're just interested in the stock API stuff, I have this video here. I'll put down in the description. It's all I'm following. It just goes through how to use the stock API with Node.js. So there's going to be two videos for this one. It's going to be, the first video is going to be on setting up the Node.js side, and the second one's going to be the React.js. Both relatively simple. If you look at my screen, I'm going to be using this this boilerplate code. I use it for a lot of my videos. There's no Redux, no nothing, but it's Mongo, Express, React, and Node all set up. So I'm going to put that link down in the description. That's where I'm going to start. You can just hit git clone or download, and to get started I recommend forking it. If you do use it, hit the start button up here just so I know it's being used. This is the video I was referencing right here, using a stock market API with Node.js. And this is the React library we're going to be using. It's called Recharts. You can use other things, but I'm going to use Recharts. So we're going to get started. First thing you want to do is open up your terminal. I have some other things open. So I'm on my desktop, as you can see. And what I'm going to do is switch to my internet browser, do a git clone of the repository. Oh, it already exists. I don't know what's in there, so I'm just going to do a move and change the name of it. Okay, so now I can actually clone it. I'm going to clear this again and try this, switch into it, and the first thing I'm going to do is an Npm Install, and this will take a few minutes. I'm just going to describe, so one thing I'm not doing is I'm not posting this code anywhere. I figured I'm going to put together a demo of how to use a marketplace, like a boilerplate code for marketplace with Stripe Connect all set up, users all set up, a basic service or something like that. And I'm going to put a post out for that, so I'm actually going to post that code. This code will all just be in the moment, so I'll try to type at a relatively good speed. I won't jump around too much, but if I do, just slow down the video, pause it, work through it. So this is just going to install. The other thing I'm going to do is I'm just going to open up in Atom this code here. Okay, I've opened up my MERN project here in Atom. As you can see on the left, it's the folder structure. I'm just going to show you the switch screens. I have Postman open here. I'm actually using the Chrome extension one. I have to stop. But I don't recommend, I'm just going to minimize that. As you can see here, my terminal is still installing. But there's one step we actually have to do. If you look at the MERN code, we have this config.example.js. This has to be changed to be config.js. And we change the DB and DB dev. So we only have to change the DB dev because I'm not going to show you how to put this into production. So our port will be localhost, and our path is localhost, and our port is 27017. You need Mongo installed, and you need Node installed to use these. There's lots of videos out there. Check out one of them. And then we're going to name our database, so this will be, I don't know, stock DB. I don't think we're going to actually be storing anything, because all the financial data will be stored elsewhere via an API. I'm not going to show you how to do users because it's not really the purpose of this. I'm just going to show you how to make the API call again with Node. So this video hopefully is just about setup, and it's relatively short. And so I'm pretty sure I'm just going to switch back over to my terminal. It's now installed. The first thing I'm going to just do is an npm run start dev. And this is we'll compile and put this code on localhost 8080. I'll show you how to get there. So open up your Chrome or you're in an internet browser and go to localhost 8080. And it will load. And as you can see, we can go through, and this is the boilerplate code. We know it works. I'm not going to actually, I don't want to start creating database things or anything like that, but so we know this is working. So we're actually going to start removing some of the stuff they have here. So they have counters as their example. We can keep it actually, because as long as we don't reference it. And we'll just call this stock.js, which will be our actual endpoints. The one line we have to copy is this one. And then we want to do an app. We have to do an app.post to app.post. Yeah, let's do it. We'll do a post request. I find it's a little tricky to do the requests in a production environment with a get, because of the React router. It's all sitting on one port. If you have no idea what I'm talking about, it doesn't matter. And we'll just call this portfolio. We'll make a couple assumptions here. I'm assuming you're looking up the user, and you're retrieving, based on the user, you're retrieving the ticker symbols that they have in their portfolio. And so with that, we'll have an array of tickers. And I'm also assuming you have a actual API key and stuff. So I'm just going to jump over to the YouTube video with the Node.js. I'm not going to listen to myself talk. Scroll down here. I want to do this. I want to check out this Medium post. Oh, the whole Medium post needed posted. Oh, that's not good. Scroll down. Here it is, using a stock market API. And I just explained how I try out a few, none of them work. But then there's one website here. Hopefully they're still around. And they're not. Okay, so like their website didn't work there for some reason, but it looks like I just tried the example query. It worked fine. I'm gonna work off it. I'm assuming it's still working. Today is the 8th, yeah. And so this is the current price of Microsoft stock. And with all that, we're just gonna use this endpoint. So we're gonna use super agent to make the request out to this third-party service. So just give super agent a Google. This one here, Vision Media. You want to reference our website probably, and we want to see get requests. And sorry, I'm just gonna actually switch back to, and we want to do an npm install here. So we're just do an npm install. I'll jump back over to my terminal there. Npm install super agent, and then we're just gonna do -- save. So if someone else uses this application, I want them to, when they do the first npm install, I want them to install super agent as well. And as that installs, we're going to take a look at the get request. So the get request is request dot, and then all you have to do is the endpoint and then the query parameters. And the query parameters for us would be here would be function, symbol, and API key. And so then we'll get a response, and then what we'll do is just put a log out with that response. And just so we can see what we're getting back, and then we can begin to process it. Super Agent is now installed. So the first step, I did a little bit of switching there. I'm on their actual website here on the GitHub README. I'm just gonna copy this. It's constant request and then equals require super agent, which is gonna essentially import the super agent library. Switching back to my stock.js. At the very top, I'm gonna do paste that there. I'm going to switch back to their website to copy this get request. And I'm going to do one more switch to the internet browser to grab this URL. And I'm going to paste it there for temporary just so I can see it. So we now have the request library there. we have our get, and instead of get slash search, we want to get all of this. So slash alpha advantage or whatever it is here, .co. We want to import function. This, just put that in, we'll put that into quotes because it screws it up. We want time series daily. There's some aspects here that we don't have to change. Again, API key is another one. And with this one, we'll put it into a variable. I mean, you can put it into a constants file or something like that. I'm just going to put it at the very top of this post request because there's only one. And I'm just going to still use demo, so I don't have to worry about updating an API key. And the last one is symbol, and this will be in our tickers here. So Microsoft would be something I retrieve from my user's portfolio, but yeah, my user's portfolio. And as a result, I'm going to go for let I is less than tickers.length. Now I could just use a for each loop, which would be actually more readable here, but I'd be required the Lodash library, something like that. So I'm not going to bother. I'm actually not going to use the async library. I know it's probably the better move to make. I'm just going to change this to a different notation. It's your own call. This is a pretty simple app, so I'm not going to overcomplicate it here. Essentially, you have to understand that these calls, if you have, let's say, 15 tickers, they all may finish at different times. You can't just assume the first element will finish before the 15th element. It could be the 15th finishes first, and the very first element that call it went off finishes last. So with all that, I'm just going to put a variable in here. It's called completed. And if completed equals I, otherwise it's going to increase by 1. So this is when all tickers have completed their request. And that makes no use for the async library that we just installed, but not a huge deal. So completed starts at 0, and it will completed starts at 0, and then it will finish there too. So it's independent of I. So it's actually tickers.length, and since this matters, so since tickers would be like 15 would be returned for 15 tickers in the list, completed would be 0 when it reaches here, so you have to increment it so that you can hit the 15th element. Yeah, so all tickers have completed, and then here, this is where I do actually want to perform an action. So the first thing I need to do is have I'm going to have an array with the results from each of the calls. And with that, I'm just going to say results. Yeah. I'm going to do this. Res, and then. So what happens is here, essentially it grabs the JSON object because this comes as plain text. So I'll just show you that. We'll verify everything works properly. So that's res, and this is going to be completed, and this should be logged at the very last thing. And we'll actually never get a response because we haven't added one, but that's fine. And this is why you have Postman installed. So open up Postman. So open up your terminal, do an npm run start dev again to run our server. As soon as you see the port here, so now this is running the Node.js. It's still compiling the Webpack, but we're not using the front end, so it doesn't really matter for us. That's where the Webpack is completed. Open up Postman here. We're doing a post request, and we're doing on port 8080. And I'm just going to paste /API/stock/portfolio. There's no headers really, but we can add content type, application, JSON. There's no body or anything like that. Just hit send. And so we have one issue here, ticker is not defined, which is a variable on line 18 there that got thrown. And that's here. So all we'll do is say, okay, as we loop through, grab the ticker, and just do an npm run and start dev again. Obviously, with all this, I'm assuming you know what users making the request and everything else. You have to handle that. So the login sessions in the subscribe, because in the future week I'm gonna have a marketplace video where I actually put out do all the user login and stuff. So I'll show you how to do it then. And so now we have ticker, so I can just do the post request again. This will never return anything. But we want to check here. Res.json is not defined. Okay. So that's my mistake. If we look at the actual right here on the actual docs for the super agent. Okay. Just trying to find out how to handle a convert to JSON. A lot of this is based on the outgoing responses JSON, but we don't care about that. Oh, it is, but you know what? We'll just remove that one line there. So we'll remove this one then, and see what we get. So I'm gonna do an npm run, start dev again. Switch to Postman. Count to 5 to wait for it to finish. I hit send, and this call will never go out, but. Okay, and as you can see, this is why I should have actually waited, but whatever. I just printed out the res here. I'm getting an error from You know what, I think my API key is, I typed it wrong, so it's API key with a capital. Let me just verify that. Based on, yeah, no. This here is what I put out. So I'm just trying to find out why my request failed. Okay, so I switched this around and it worked. If I switch them back, it will fail, I think. I don't know why. That's not a normal thing. Just it's not a hard fix. Just switch these two lines around, but just be aware. So with that, I'm just going to take a look at. I'm doing a little jumping at the terminal here. I think body is an element that I'm interested in looking at here. So I'm just going to scroll to the top. Just do a control find. Yeah, body is what I want. Actually, that's maybe not be true. Okay, so I'm just going to try this again. I'll scroll to the top, and then I'm going to try to see if there's anything about JSON. Okay, so it's body that I want to look for the response in. So instead, I'm just going to print a dot body. I'm going to do an npm run start dev again, and I'm going to make the exact same request. And I'm just going to verify that by reordering it, it works fine. Be aware that that was an error being thrown. You may have to present that to your users if something ever goes wrong, and that's what it looks like. So I'm just going to hit request, send request again. Okay, and with that, this looks like I'm not sure if this is parsed or not. Oh, it is parsed. Okay, so perfectly. So we know that this is our response here, res data, and so we want to just give each. We want to give them the ticker, time zone. We want whatever. We want to give them the ticker time zone. Let's just do it. All I care about is this, and so we'll just take everything in metadata and put it into an array and then pass that through. So I want res, and then I want inside of res.body, I want everything in. I guess I have to change notations here if I'm going to do this. I want everything in here. So this would be my results.push, and just push the metadata into there. I guess, I mean, I would go through and remove these two dot symbols so it's better. But the thing is, every single element has its own. I'm not going to just change the formatting on everything. So with that, I have my results, and with results, I want to return them. So I want to say res.send. At the end of everything, I want to say, okay, so this call was actually successful. And I'm not handling the error properly here, so and ticker info. And this is where I'm going to actually show results. And I'm just going to clear this, and I'm just going to do npm run start dev, switch this timed out perfectly. This will start. And that will start, so now we're going to make our request. And so now we should actually get a response here. We should get a response. Res dot is not a function. Oh. Okay, sorry, that's one more error. I'm using duplicate names, so I'm going to change this to be response. Because res comes in, if you scroll to the top, res comes in here on the very top. So it's duplicate names. Okay, so save that again and try this one last time. This should work. We should be, and then this should be it for the node aspect without doing the user management stuff and adding, because you're essentially going to create a user and you're going to create a number of tickers that they follow or whatever, and with all that, that's when you have to actually grab the user information, and that's where most of the time's going to go. Hit send. Hopefully I get an actual response. Okay, so it's completed, but I didn't actually get any. Hopefully, okay, so I'm just gonna look at this one last time because apparently metadata is time series is okay. So I don't want just metadata. I want it all. So I'm just put response.body in there, and that's all I want. And hopefully for the very last time, I've said that twice now. npm run start dev. Okay, and with that we have all our stock information in a presented in a JSON format. So now what we'll do is we'll go in on the front end and grab this information. We'll present it in a chart, and I don't know, show the current price. So with that, all that information, I'm gonna leave it there for this part. The next video, also coming out today, is part 2 to this. It's where we do the front end stuff.